Good morning, everyone. So, our awesome, I don't really care, Margaret Vice President is supposed to be going to East Palestine, Ohio today. And if you wonder why I said I don't really care, Margaret, just type in JD Vance, I don't really care, Margaret, and enjoy the show. And I searched last night on TikTok, and yep, you can already buy shirts that say I really don't care, Margaret, on them. My size would be about $25. I think it's epic. Let me get this going here. Okay, audio's good. No, 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 no. Oh, wrong button, wrong button, wrong button, wrong button. No, I don't want to send fucking feedback. Okay. So I'm not going to be all chipper and stuff today because I didn't get much sleep last night. But yeah. So anyway, our good old Vice President, Mr. Vance, was in an interview with this Margaret woman. And, typical lefty, you gotta feel sorry for the illegals and stuff. And he was like, I don't really care, Margaret. And the look on her face was like, oh, you got to care. No, we don't have to. I don't care if they split families up of these illegals or what the hell happens to them. My idea is say an illegal is from a certain country isn't cooperating with us. They don't want to take them back. Well, I'm sure we have surplus military parachutes. Strap a parachute to them. Fly over the country. Here's your people back. Airmail. It was good enough for our soldiers to do, it's good enough for an illegal to do. Because I am 100% America first. The only country I think we should be helping out is Israel. Other than that, I wouldn't send a damn nickel to any other foreign country. Nope. And if your country can't survive without our American taxpayer dollars, then you don't deserve to have a country. And I know people are always like, but broken, that's mean. No, what's mean is not taking care of our own citizens, especially the ones that signed their name on that dotted line and took that oath, joined the military, and now they ended up homeless. Our government used what they could of them and just here you go. We need to stop being a country of lazy people. I've said for years, you want to protect schools, hire the homeless veterans, give them a job, give them a place to stay, let them do what they're trained to do, protect. And of course, I'm always hit back with, well, what if they have PTSD? So a ex service member, a veteran, can't guard your children at school, make sure they're safe because they got PTSD. But oh, if that veteran become a school teacher, still with PTSD, oh, that's totally fine. You guys saw last night. We got all these protests going on. And I imagine I will be restreaming the protest tonight also. There was protest here in the ghetto parts of Phoenix, Arizona, 67th Avenue, Camelback, Maryvale, ghetto. The cops let it go on for a little while, and then the cops came in and shut it to hell down. Once it stopped being a protest and they were out there spinning tires and all up in the street and stuff, cops came in and shut it down. Which I have to say this to other law enforcement agencies. Why do you let this shit go on in your town? Shut these fucking protests down. And if you're the type of person that wants to go out and protest, show me one thing that a protest, one problem that a protest fixed. One problem. Because I don't see any of them. I've been to, flag waving protests. They didn't do anything. The only how you could change government and change how this country is going is by registering to vote and going and exercising your right to vote. And especially if you're a woman, you realize you ladies, there's an amendment to the Constitution giving you all the right to vote. You realize how hard it is to change the Constitution? And I know after 2020, people are all like, my vote doesn't count. It doesn't. Well, did you go vote this last time? Because your vote does count. President Trump and J.D. Vance, the man on your screen right there, thank you for your vote. And if you're the type of person to vote Democrat, why? Every time it comes up for a vote in Congress for something to protect children, they vote no. Why do Democrats not want to protect children? Why did during the Biden administration that Lord knows how many hundreds of thousands of children go missing? And here's something that I saw a little TikTok video over, and it's slowly making its way around the internet. Remember back when we were in school, they had the missing kids on the milk cartons, and then a dollar amount if they were found. And I always thought it was weird that they had a dollar amount. And then all the celebrities did all these commercials having milk mustaches saying "got milk." Were those, supposedly missing kids on the milk cartons and the price under them? Was that to purchase those kids? Because I've already saw people sharing stuff from the Wayfair company about pizza and stuff for like $5,000, $8,000 for pizza. Yeah. Go in and do a search. Wayfair and kids. Here a few years ago, they got busted having all these ads up for like, oh, here's a piece of furniture. And it had a kid's name.
So that was done in 2023 via Zoom with Ashley Bennett there. And I was in East Palestine, and the day that President Trump visited, and the people there, of course, were just loving the fact that a very small town that dealt with a national tragedy, that the president, soon to be president, was there.
Right. And coming together to, make a point, but, also help people in their time of need. And that's what we've seen in these communities, whether it be East Palestine, Ohio, or Asheville, North Carolina, the way that neighbors are helping neighbors and advocating for one another and, trying to pick up the pieces where they have lost what are timeless memories in many cases, but some saying, at least I'm still breathing, at least I'm still standing, and I can move on, because these are all just things ultimately. It's sad, of course, to lose precious memories, but at the same time, you can continue on to live your life.
Yeah, exactly. And then in LA, of course, the president there just last week. But the problem, I think, in East Palestine is any of the longer term health effects, of course,
Exactly.
there. So specifically on February 3rd, 2023 at 8:55 at night, a Norfolk Southern freight train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. The train was carrying hazardous materials when 38 cars derailed. Several rail cars burned for more than 2 days, and emergency crews also conducted controlled burns of several rail cars, which released hydrogen chloride and phosgene into the air. So that was quite the problem there. And, we'll see, if there's a lot of health situations that have happened out of that. But man, it's tough, but it's great to see the vice president heading there today to his, as you said earlier, his home state.
Right. And there was something actually back in my neck of the woods years ago that a company was actually releasing trichloroethylene and other toxins into the air. They were actually a facility to clean up utensils and different instruments post surgery as well. But it was actually causing really increased cancers in people.
Wow.
And that became a huge lawsuit.
Yeah.
Naturally.
No, 100%.
But it's things like that you really have to watch out what's in the air and in the water, and that's why we have someone like Bobby Kennedy Jr. really focused on making America healthy again, whether it's complete sabotage or man-made failures like we saw here in East Palestine, Ohio, or just a natural disaster that comes about because the soil will change in California as a result of all these wildfires and the forest mismanagement.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. And that's what we're looking to see is the mismanagement stop there in California, of course. I mean, we're talking about
everybody just thinks, it's just a wildfire.
The focus today
it's
with
just
the
brush
Vice
burning.
J.D. Vance on his way to East Palestine.
No.
So as soon as we get that live feed, we'll bring it to you just like we did.
Well, a house burns.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio, of course.
There's all kinds
of
chemicals
stories we're following
released
right now,
into the atmosphere.
USAID fraudulent activity
from all the stuff in the house burning
Social,
and melting.
Speaking out about that, the
your
slogan
Tupperware,
for USAID
your plastic
is
containers,
from the American people.
the carpet,
introduced
the
9/11 attacks, and a slogan
vinyl flooring,
printed on all USAID
the clothing, the furniture.
Projects. Kerry says the truth is the American
people
the
want plastics
to know
in your television
money is being funneled into what appears to be a CIA intelligence community slush fund. She says, Elon Musk, we the people want answers. So maybe Elon will help with that on X. But I mean, that kind of story, it's just more and more corruption if it's true.
Right, exactly. And we're not going to have a deep state bureaucracy go quietly into the night. It's they're very upset with what's happened in the last 2 weeks because promises made, promises kept. Those 20 platform positions of the Republican Party were from President Trump. He said, I want this to be put into action. And you're seeing it on the ground, whether it's through the legislature in Congress or whether you see through executive orders with the purview of this president. It's all about common sense. And I get a kick out of just some of his interviews recently with the press pool in the Oval Office. And he said, do you want the political answer or do you want the real answer? Absolutely. I'm going to tariff the European Union. And we know that too with Mexico, Canada, and China as well too.
Here's something that
point. And then he almost did that with
it's going around on Colombia. TikTok. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, why is he always talking about TikTok? Because TikTok is a valuable tool for getting information out. So first I saw the creator Conservative Band. Great guy. He went around his home trying to find something that was made in Canada. He couldn't find anything. And then other creators started doing the same thing. So I challenge everybody. Go find something in your home that's made in either Canada or Mexico. Because I think these tariffs are a good thing. And like I said earlier, if your country can't survive without American taxpayer dollars, then you don't deserve to have a country.
We'll see that game and see if there's any good commercials. We'll see. They haven't been the greatest. I mean, they're good, but
okay over the years. Yeah. I always like the little baby. That's is it TD Ameritrade?
I believe. So, yeah.
So or some e-commerce platform, but basically just making those trades happen while he's doing something else, and nobody knows.
I've seen a
quick one from way back.
Videos.
Budweiser frogs, Bud. Anyway. All right, so the
877 cash now.
So I wanted to see how the fake news,
but it's
and they went
Cash
really
Patel.
Heavy
his face on it.
It's going to affect the American people. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. The price of everything's going to go up. Well, they said that it would be $1,500 more a year for food and gas. $1,500, if that's true. Okay, so I didn't fact check the 1,500, but this is what ABC News reported just yesterday on their news show and had all their reporters sounding all wonderful, talking about, and these tariffs are going to do all these crazy things. Well, first of all, $1,500, if that's what it is. The question is, are you willing to pay $1,500 for all of the safety of the border of our country? The crime to go down, the criminal to go down, right? and for
Yes.
us to stop getting ripped off anyway when it comes to balancing the trade. So when it comes to that, you know, if that's what's going to happen, if it's even that number, and I'm waiting to see if the Trump administration will show us if there is any kind of increase like that. But still, man, I mean, we need to close these borders. That is an emergency in this country.
Well, you see how many people have died of fentanyl poisoning on top of everyone who's been really negatively affected by illegal immigration, whether it's Laken Riley, Rachel Morin, Jocelyn Nungary, just to name a few. And their mothers and family members left reeling over this horrible crisis. But President Trump, a true leader, coming back from Mar-a-Lago in Florida to our nation's capital in the White House, as you see there on the split screen, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, stopping to tell the press, yes, it might hurt for a moment, some of these terrorists,
And
but
watch.
for a moment in order to
The
get
leftist, the mainstream media and stuff are going to bitch every time Trump goes to Mar-a-Lago or Trump goes and plays golf.
About spending and national debt.
But they
These last
didn't
4 years, they
have a
seemingly
problem
ignored
with
all the money that was
Biden
being
going
thrown
to
out
the
there by
beach,
the Biden administration. It was absolutely
you know,
I mean, we're
100
talking,
times.
north of $100 billion, right, to Ukraine and other places. And now we're talking, it's simply put, a short-term price for
And,
long-term goals.
right.
This is a short.
Zelensky from Ukraine is saying that he didn't get all of his money that was promised to his country.
Day of the week. You know, again, this is about the lives of Americans.
He made
It's
a
about
public
safety for our
video.
country,
It was
law and
live
order.
on
There's a
all
lot of
the news
cleanup
channels.
that needs to be done. So that's why President Trump's making
So,
that move. And on top of that, tariffs.
If I was Trump, I'd be like, hey,
You know, this ultimately led to
let me
really
look
the
into it.
removal
Let me
of
see where this
vote,
money that
led by Matt Gaetz
we
against,
supposedly
then
sent you
Speaker
went.
Kevin McCarthy. I mean, for a while even.
I know where
some
it went. It went
Republicans,
right
Kevin
back
McCarthy
into
wanted to
the
wear a Ukrainian flag on his
pockets of the
lapel. He definitely divided
Democrats.
the caucus during the Biden years.
Because
Someone
still,
like Mike Johnson, who is focused on
if you're a
open borders
congressman
as Speaker of the
and
House,
you're only paid a
actually
certain
I
amount
think
of
will be a
money
much
every
stronger
year,
partner ultimately
and
for
you
President
know,
Trump than
within
his predecessor. So
4
exciting to
years
see
that
that
you've been a
President Trump is
congressman,
once being put
now you're a
in the driver's
millionaire.
seat rather than foreign oligarchies.
That means that you're corrupt.
To some other recent headlines.
No matter if you're on the
Los
left or
Angeles,
the
we've
right,
seen
that
some
means that you're
video out
corrupt.
there. A number of Mexican nationals or even Mexican immigrants, a lot of them with the flags and all that, are shutting down various LA highways. That happened last night. So let's see how that, if anything, happens out of that. And I saw a smaller situation. I don't know too many details at this point about an FBI agent protest, a few people there that are getting let go in the whole situation, which rightly so under President Trump. So we're following those news headlines. Also, we have video, which we may be able to upload here in a little bit. A U.S. Coast Guard intercepts smuggler-operated alien vessel 20 miles off the coast of Point Loma, California. This was on January 28th. So as soon as that video is uploaded, we'll show you that raw video of a number of people on this vessel. And there it is right now. Can we go to this full? Because there is audio as well, sir. I'm going right here. Yep.
Watch out.
¿Cuántas personas tienen? ¿Cuántas personas tienen?
12, 13, 14.
Oh, which one is it? 12, 13 o 14?
Somos 14.
¿14? ¿Tienes niños?
No,
¿Qué es su nacionalidad? ¿Todos son mexicanos?
no, mexicano.
¿Tienes niños?
No.
Yeah, we have POSCON ISS complete. 2, 3, 4, 5.
And of course, the bleeding heart liberals will be like, they just want a better life. Well, then they need to fix their own country. Well, there's cartel, and then they need to still fix their own country. Grow some balls fix your own country.
¿Tienes uno o no?
So if you're just joining us right now, what that was is the Coast Guard cutter Terrell Horn and partnership agencies intercept smuggler-operated alien vessel approximately 20 miles off the coast of Point Loma, California on January 28th. The crew of the Guard cutter and U.S. Customs and Border Protection members worked together to interdict this illegal alien operation, which had 14 individuals aboard. The U.S. Coast Guard, courtesy for that video there. So we're seeing not only on the southern border, the Marines, the Army, and then we're seeing the U.S. Coast Guard actually being helping with Guantanamo Bay and also out there on the seas. I mean, it's a
Yep.
lot going on right now, Robert.
It really is. It's
Because
a
now
full-blown
our
operation between
current
6 branches
administration
of our
is letting them
military,
do
along with
their
Border
job
Patrol, ICE, and Customs doing
instead of
incredible
being all
work
like, "You
to,
guys can't do
make
that.
America
That's
safe again."
Exactly,
mean."
the National Guard as well. So a lot going on for this national emergency, not only on our southern border. As we now know, Mexican drug cartels working in the Canadian provinces as well, according to the executive order. So, yeah, a lot going on.
Right, and you have people way up there too saying, "Hey, we've seen drugs smuggled over the northern border, so just as much of a problem."
Yeah, because the
we saw
northern
this
border is
happening
wide,
like it has
wide
been on
open.
the southern border. So a sad situation as Vice President J.D. Vance visits East Palestine, Ohio today on the 2-year anniversary of that train derailment, which really has caused so many problems and toxins as well, not only in the soil and throughout the atmosphere there, just living in the area, but people also getting sick as a result, with cancers and different byproducts of what's happened with the poisoning of that area. We know that the last administration failed greatly in that regard to take care of those folks.
Exactly. So today is 2 years exactly since the
Yeah, you
East
want to know
Palestine,
why?
train
I'll tell you
derailment. So
why.
we're going to have live video there as soon as we see the vice president appearing there in
Because it was a red state.
Eastern Ohio, East Palestine, not too far from the
But
Pennsylvania line. This all brought to us by Tax Network
Biden
USA.
Yes, tnusa.com.
offered to pay for
/RMUN. You
everything
can
for the
settle your
California
back
fire
taxes
victims,
today. And that's something to think about with April 15th.
but
right
not the
around the corner.
hurricane
So protect
victims,
yourself from the IRS.
not
Call
the victims of East
800-357-1415.
No, we don't want to help them out.
TNUSA.com/ESPN. These guys are experts when it comes to property taxes, state taxes, the federal income tax, which, God willing, might go away, but not this time around. We have some time to be patient with that. But again, April 15th, right around the corner. Make sure that you protect yourself from IRS overreach.
Exactly. President Trump earlier today, about an hour ago on Truth Social, saying Canada doesn't even allow U.S. banks to open or do business there. What's that all about? Many such things, but it's also a drug war, and hundreds of thousands of people have died in the U.S. from drugs pouring through the borders of Mexico and Canada. Just spoke to Justin Trudeau. We will be speaking to him again at 3 p.m. So him making that announcement, is that going to be something that's live with us here? I'm not sure if that's
And I
something to
thought,
discuss, but
Justin
he's gonna
Trudeau
make
was
the
supposed to
call. It's
resign.
definitely happening at 3 o'clock Eastern time. That according to the commander-in-chief just about an hour ago. So a lot of coverage today, a lot of things going on. But our main focus right now is, of course, the vice president's visit to East Palestine, Ohio. Again, that was 38 rail cars that derailed. And then the fact that they were kind of making it a live burn there, they're just letting all of the stuff out, all of the toxins, and obviously causing a dangerous situation.
Well, and that was a question. Why did it last so long? Of course, you have things like that can go on for a period of time, but it just kept burning and burning. And with folks having nowhere to go, it was really a crisis. And the first to the scene, at least from the federal government, were then Senator J.D. Vance and the former president, then 45th president of the United States, Donald Trump, of course, now in office. But in that moment, I think they really came together to get to know one another and really, I think, determined that JD was really the front runner in President Trump's eyes when they had that moment to fix America.
That leads us to our next point, Director. If we can re-rack and roll again, for those new viewers that are just joining us, the clip from then Senator Vance in Ohio 2 years ago in 2023 in East Palestine. We know, of course, he was there visiting, again, to your point, President Trump was there, and also J.D. Vance as well. And I actually caught up with Senator Vance at the time. It was outside of the McDonald's. Remember, President Trump made a trip to McDonald's after that, and people loved that whole experience there too. It was great to see that. That's that 1-2 punch, figuratively speaking. He goes there for the serious matter of taking care of business, and then he comes through with, "Hey, I'm human. Like, hello, how are you? What do you need?" You know. So it's pretty cool to see that. So as soon as we get that rolling for the JD Vance soundbite, we'll roll that again, and also maybe we'll play that other soundbite if you just are joining us from Ashley Bennett, who is a resident near East Palestine, who took time to make a number of T-shirts just to keep the story going.
Right.
And the proceeds were benefiting people in that area. So again, we'll be going into those two clips in a bit, as it's the bottom of the hour. Robert McNeely, Matthew Alvarez here on this Monday, February 3rd, entering the third week of the presidency. And he's back at the White House after being in Florida all weekend.
Yes, and it was sunny down in Florida. Sadly, yesterday, Puxatawny Phil, he saw his shadow, so it's 6 more weeks of winter. But down here in Alabama, it's sunny and beautiful and creeping up into the 70s. So
yeah, it is. It is definitely the next couple of days. We're going to see the 70s and sunny here. I saw with my wife yesterday Groundhog Day with Bill Murray. We had to watch it. Fun movie if you want to watch it. It's actually free to, I think, Amazon Prime subscribers.
there
So
you go. Fantastic.
that was kind of cool. My wife always likes we don't have to pay the extra $3.99. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like with all the different subscriptions nowadays,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh gosh, there's even more to rent.
Exactly.
And then especially buying films now too. Sometimes those are $25.
Yeah,
They really find a way to get you. So
they do.
make sure you're watching out with your subscriptions, and go with one of our subscriptions. It's better.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks so much for subscribing to Rumble and following our channel here, and also on X and Truth Social, and those of you watching on those platforms on Facebook and YouTube. So it's great to see the platforms seeing a lot of numbers all the way through, but Rumble, of course, a great one as well. So it's 10:30, bottom of the hour. We're going to see there, as you see at the bottom of your screen, the Vice President to visit East Palestine today. So we'll hear from him and hear from some of the residents there. Again, some of the residents, including Ashley Bennett, who we may be able to go to that clip again. I texted her and her family this morning, and she says, great that he's going to be here. We would like to see the payouts a little bit quicker. That's what she said. So I'm just reporting what a resident said in East Palestine, Ohio, just near that area. All right, Director, can we go to the JD Vance soundbite once again? Okay. All right. So we're going to go to this moment. Just we'll play it one more time for you. From 2023, here is when Senator Vance visited with the 45th president at the time in 2023.
President showing up here, you know, and Biden being in Ukraine, that kind of thing.
Well, you know, look, it sends a terrible signal when the president can go to Ukraine, but he can't come to his own country's communities that are suffering. I think what President Trump did today was draw attention to East Palestine in a way that makes it harder for people to forget the residents here. That's the most important thing. We cannot leave this community behind, and we can't forget them.
He said that's the most important thing. We cannot leave this community behind. Well, that's action speaking louder than words, especially him showing up today. But also, unfortunately, it wasn't President Trump and JD Vance in the White House when this all went down.
Right.
Biden was taking trips to Ukraine, leaving East Palestine behind, but still some payouts are happening. So we're going to get this all taken care of today. We're going to see the vice president there. And this all brought to us by a number of great sponsors here at the network, including Angel Paste, which you've tried before, right?
Yes, and it will turn your dry hands into smooth, just elegant and ready to present. Angelpaste.com, a great company, Christian owned, also hire veterans. So great supporters of the American dream and of American warriors who defend us on a daily basis. They're out of Spring, Texas. So we're outside of Houston. They have several different kind of great miracle creams that can actually repel mosquitoes. They can also have available for you some of the Manly Men lines. There's some great black bottles. So if you're thinking about a last minute Valentine's gift for your significant other, they have great products for men and women here at angelpaste.com. Highly recommended. And again, non-GMO, no chemicals in their creams as well. So you know what you're putting on your skin. You know, that gets absorbed into your system. And this is only healthy, good stuff that's their ingredients. So you want to go to angelpaste.com and purchase today out of Spring, Texas.
Yeah, so the RSBN promo code, I believe, gets you 10% off of your products there. Again, Valentine's Day around the corner, not a bad gift right there. Angelpace.com, 10:33 a.m. Thanks so much for joining us here as we get ready to see the vice president in East Palestine, Ohio. And Robert, today I wore the Make America Healthy Again tie, Maha tie, and also St. Patrick's Day in a way, even though it's next month.
Oh, yes, it's right around the corner, and that's when winter should end, according to Puxatawny Phil, just right around that time. But we have deemed green as the Maha ties. We know red is the MAGA ties, and then perhaps some other colors will represent certain victories in the coming weeks and months of this beautiful brand new administration that's really hit the ground running.
Oh, it has. Historic speed and strength. We've seen it. You've seen it. And we're covering it here at the network, especially today there in East Palestine. And President Trump saying he has a call with Justin Trudeau, the outgoing Prime Minister of Canada, at 3 o'clock. So hopefully they can iron something out to get the tariff thing situated. Hopefully Canada will step up. And, you know, this is quite interesting. So I've been to Canada twice, maybe 3 times actually. I've been to Vancouver, been to Montreal, and I've been to Niagara Falls, right, on the Canadian side. And every time, whoever I'm with or whatever, it would be always such a difficult thing to get into the Canadian provinces, just in general. And it seemed that when I came back with my U.S. passport back into the States, of course, they look through and they're, oh, go ahead, go. And then when it's Canada, they act like because some of the United States citizens are coming up, you know, they're going to really look at you and check things out. Of course, it was cleared through every time, but it's like, why don't do that with the border right now with illegal aliens, not people that have legit U.S. passports and driver's licenses and clean records and stuff, right? So it's like, it's very weird.
Again, common sense that really lacked in the last administration. And I think about this too with the Russian-Ukrainian conflict. I had a chance to speak to people in Belarus and Poland, and it was harder for them to get over as a result of what was taking place there. But if you really wanted refugees, if you really wanted to protect those in war-torn areas, wouldn't we have brought our friends over from there instead of having the open, porous border? So effects that really ripple throughout the world coming from directly from U.S. policy, domestically and foreign policy as well.
Exactly. So I'll run that by me again. So you you were speaking to people of Poland and Belarus. When was this?
This was about a year and a half ago. And they were having trouble getting into the United States, really in refugee status, given they were close to what was taking place, the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. And we know Belarus, of course, somewhat of a puppet government of Russia. But at the same time, the people that Biden was claiming to help were not getting that help that when they were trying to seek refugee status. So interesting.
Yeah, very interesting stuff there. We're seeing that all around the world, really. I mean, getting borders secured is the name of the game. Let's go to American Financing, another great sponsor here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. Robert, saving $800 now. Saving the average of that amount. That's a great amount of money right there. Nearly $1,000 working with the refinancing and the home loans with American Financing. And this is a company that wouldn't just jump on board here if they were anti-MAGA or anti-Maha, right?
Like, absolutely.
If you're going to sponsor with Right Side, you're on the right side of history. And American Financing, great group there.
You can trust our sponsors, and there is a quick phone call you can make there. Just takes 10 minutes, no cost, no obligation. That's what's actually so great about our sponsors. You know, this is sales related, right? You know, there is people working to make a profit, but also help with good products. At the same time, they truly will not harass you. I've seen it in action. These are people of their word. So you want to call them. American Financing today, 888-402-0299. That's the phone number, 888-402-0299, AmericanFinancing.net/RSBN. It just makes sense with a lot of us carrying really high credit card balances and that charge at that 20% rate or more, something that President Trump has pledged. We need to cut those credit card interest rates so people can get back on their feet, given what's happened in the last 4 years. And one of the greatest partners there, American Financing. So please visit them today.
Exactly. Great sponsor here at the network. 10:37 in the morning right now. I believe that we'll be seeing a live feed of East Palestine within the next 30 minutes, maybe less, right here on the network. Speaking of East Palestine, Director, can we go to that soundbite with Ashley Bennett again, where the mayor, Rudy Giuliani, visited back in 2023? Again, this is the 2-year anniversary of that terrible tragedy, the East Palestine, Ohio derailment there. It happened on February 3rd, 2023. Shortly thereafter, there were a number of stories that were done. Of course, President Trump showed up at the time, of course, only the 45th president at that time. This was under the Biden administration when he still showed up, acting as if the president, like he does.
Right.
And it's great to see that. And then also at the time, Senator J.D. Vance was there, but also Mayor Rudy Giuliani, who needs some financial assistance out there with all the crap he's going through.
No question.
But here is that soundbite from 2 years ago.
So these are the shirts that I designed. As you can see, there's a big black flume over everything. It says, "I'm fine, we're fine, everything's fine." I wanted to incorporate, the "I'm fine, we're fine, everything's fine," when in reality, it's not fine here. People's mental health, we have 72-year-old men on the ground breaking down crying because this is where they've spent the past decades of their life working day in, day out, providing a safe home for their families. And it's all been stripped from them. They need the extra help. So whatever little bit that we are able to provide for them out there and here is what our goal is. We are making the shirts that will eventually hit the shelves at Tom's Tires, Classic Express, and what we're shipping out to people all over the nation. I have much respect for Rudy. He didn't just take the hoodie that was handed to him and hand it off to one of his bystanders. He actually comforted, held that hoodie in his arms, and having somebody like that actually care kind of brings light that these agencies are going to have to keep coming to help these people out. Basically, this is something that we're being told by not only toxicologists, but hydrologists, that this is not going away anytime soon. This is definitely something that these residents will be living with for the rest of our lives. The revenue, the profits, and we go to our local stores and buy things such as napkins, paper plates, silverware. I have, just a small little printing shop in my basement. It's the least I could do to help bring something positive back into the communities.
The creativity and the ingenuity of the American people supporting one another through business, through making that message known. And that was something that was so, I think, lost on the last administration. It reminds me almost of even going back to the BLM riots, with the reporter saying in the background, "Oh, everything's okay," although buildings are on fire. Very similar situation, and sad that these people were left behind, and that you had to have the former president at the time and a sitting senator say, "Hello, we need help from the White House," and that was not going to happen.
Exactly. And so, yeah, from the government standpoint then, and also the media covering for them, well, things have changed. Thank God for that. We see the Vice President J.D. Vance on his way there to East Palestine, Ohio today. We saw President Trump in Western North Carolina, Los Angeles, and is taking care of business for the American people. So it's great to see that. Let's go to a number of sponsors as we get ready to see the Vice President here live on RSBN Live. Again, I'm Matthew Alvarez alongside Robert McNeely, and we're happy to be here with you on this Monday, February 3rd. MyPillow, a great sponsor here at the network.
We love Mike Lindell, this hero when it comes to free speech, election integrity, and you know him from his wonderful Minnesota-operated facility, just outstanding. Mega sale going on. You can actually buy a replica of his cross, my cross, save 30%. Of course, my towels and flannel sheets going on for major deals right now. MyPillow.com/RSBN. You can also get up to 80% off of other items in addition with that promo code RSBN.
I like when you said mega, you had a Trump impersonation slightly in there. Did you catch it?
Mega. I can't help myself. You gotta love his energy. He's one of the best. There's no question. And these two, I want to see something maybe post presidency of almost having Apprentice 2.0. starring President Trump and Mike Lindell, because these guys, master marketers, great businessmen, and really good to people. Ultimately, it's Rudy Giuliani said it too. Way back in the day, it was George Steinbrenner who owned the Yankees and Donald Trump. You could always rely on them for a donation or when people were in need, especially in New York City. Mike Lindell's the same way.
The two ultra winners right there.
Oh yeah, no
ultra
question.
winners, and these guys, President Trump and Mike Lindell, whenever they're walking around or being around people, they don't have an air of the arrogance about them,
Right.
like they're hot stuff, as do maybe some people do.
Mhm.
The point is, that's what's great. It's down to earth. That's what we want. We want that authentic, genuine connection to people, and also while they're being great in their industries too. So
No question about that. And Mr. Mike Lindell is, and we'll see what's up with his political future. Maybe a run for governor of Minnesota. I'm completely interjecting that because I'd like to see that. But in the meantime, give mypillow.com/RSBN a visit or call 800-836-7566. And I love those original My Pillows as well. It's helped me sleep just great.
We're
I've tried
having a
some of the
mega
Mypals as well,
sale.
and they do.
It's
keep
going to
you
be
nice and dry,
huge.
but so many good things, not only to get your morning started, but to get a trip started as well. As Mr. Mike Lindell, he knows how to really give fine, high quality products, not only from around the world with those Giza Dream Sheets as well, but made right here in America.
Oh,
Believe it or
man.
not, this morning I wore my slippers to work. They're actually over to the room to the side of the studio here. I could show you if you really want to see them, but anyway, they're great. They're great. So obviously wore them today. Let's go to another great company, and then you go to mypillow.com, and then after that, maybe go to freegoldguide.com for this free info kit on gold and silver, tax sheltered IRA, 401k, all backed in gold. Great financial peace of mind, especially for people that are saying, you know what, I have a cushion of retirement or savings, and I want to make sure it's solid with gold and silver.
Right.
This is where you go.
Yeah, so you just scan there to shield your savings now.
See, I
Right
will
now,
never
serving
understand about the
Colonial
gold and
Metals Group.
silver.
This is fantastic because you might have properties,
Oh,
assets,
well, gold is
401k,
worth this much
IRA,
money
in the
per
works,
ounce.
but you can convert some of that into
Yeah, it's
precious
worth
gold,
that much
silver, metals that will really
U.S.
make
dollars
sure
per
you
ounce.
can hedge this bet
So if
against
the dollar ever
inflation. So
collapses,
why not give our friends over at Colonial Metals
what's
a
your
try?
gold
And
and
again,
silver really
not
worth?
pushy at all. This is no obligation. Scan that QR code. You get
When
the free
the
gold guide. You
value
learn how to protect yourself,
is
your
based
family,
on the
and
U.S.
assets for
dollar.
generations to come.
All right,
Now,
so checking the
currently,
president's schedule for the day, the public schedule,
the
as we're awaiting
U.S.
the
dollar
vice
is
president
soaring.
there in Ohio. As of 10:30
The
Eastern, so about 15
Canadian
minutes ago,
dollar and the
the
Mexican
White
dollar
House has not
are
sent the official schedule.
tanking.
So we'll see when that appears, and we'll share any news with you if there's anything that is a live feed that we're able to see of our commander-in-chief, as he, of course, is entering his third week as president. And then here, seeing the vice president soon, J.D. Vance arriving in Ohio. I'm not sure which airport is the closest to East Palestine, but I know that he'll be going to East Palestine here shortly.
And I know people are always
We know
like,
that he was senator of the
why don't you like
Buckeye
gold and
State
silver?
for a couple of years prior to this, and on the 2-year anniversary of this train derailment, he
It's
was really
because
a newly minted senator, only on
our
the job for
society
1
doesn't
month, but getting into
function
the nitty gritty and finding out why
outside
this happened
of
in
the
East
American
Palestine,
dollar.
Ohio, and why it should never happen
I
again,
can't
because people are still affected
take a
by
piece
the
of
food
gold
poisoning and the chemicals, and some
and
having
pay my
advanced
rent
cancers
with
as
it.
a result of everything that went into the environment.
If
in
I were to
these
walk
schools and
into
quality
the
water
office
systems.
here in my
That's one of the
apartment
reasons why
complex and was like,
Bobby
here,
Kennedy
here's
Jr.
a
is
piece
so
of gold that's
passionate
worth
about his
$1,700,
positions and wanting to be the
they're going
Secretary
to
of
look at
Natural
me and be like,
Resources, so we know how
well,
to
go
respond
get
to crises, whether it be man-made
cash
or
money
natural
for it.
disasters.
Exactly. So
I can't go pay my
chloride that
car
was
payment with
poured into
a
the air there with a
chunk
new
of
way to
gold.
control burn, specifically called the hydrogen chloride and phosgene, went into the air a little bit. There were phone calls to various poison control centers around the country when this happened. And basically, it gave someone a little bit of a respiratory issue, more of a temporary short-term one.
Mhm.
But I guess depending on how long you would be around that would depend on if there are any long-term health effects. So we'll see. Hopefully none of that happened, but we know that it was quite terrible of a situation. Again, I'm not. I'm going to lump a lot of things in together just from a observation standpoint. But the LA wildfires with the arson situation, where there's 40 people that were arrested there for arson connected to the LA wildfires, and outside of that, of course, the mismanagement of the brush and the wind and that kind of thing. And then you look at things like the aftermath of the Hurricane Helene in Western North Carolina and the government under Biden not taking care of anything. When it comes to even East Palestine, the situation there was such a slow roll of help from the government. So, first of all, what was happening? How did this all happen originally? What caused these different events? Number
Right.
one. Number two, the aftermath response. Why so slow? And we're the American people. This is our country. It's we, the people, that run the show. We're the ones that it's of us, by us, and for
Well, I
us.
know exactly
So we
why
obviously voted
all this
for
stuff
President
happened.
Trump, and he's
The
doing great for
wildfires,
us.
East
But
Palestine,
that picture there is unbelievable.
lack
And
of
this was on
maintenance,
February 3rd. Actually, that's February 4th because this
lack of
happened
maintenance
on the night of February 3rd.
on the
so around
ground
8:55
in
Eastern. So it's
California,
this is light. This is
getting
the
rid of
last
all the
day
brush and
of
everything.
just a terrible scene there, and a very slow
Lack of
response from
maintenance
the
on these
government.
trains
And
in
to your
East
point earlier,
Palestine.
the DEI hire, Pete Buttigieg. Listen, I don't care what the guy's
That's
efforts
the
are.
thing
The
that
point
just
is,
blows my
when it
mind is
comes to
that
the quality of your job, how good are you at it? And he was terrible.
people are
Like I
all
said, he
like
was a DI hire and didn't show up there to
anti-maintenance.
help the people. And so obviously a lot of people were upset. I remember, just being out there, but very happy though when Donald Trump showed up.
You know, I've
As he
seen
was running
videos
to
all
be
on the
the
internet of
47th commander in chief.
people at oil change
And no
places
question about it. And that's really
changing
when you
someone's
first got to
oil, and
see
it
the
hasn't been
Republican
changed
ticket
in
of Trump and Vance
20, 30,
as they
40,000
surveyed what was on the
thousand
ground.
miles
So, working with first responders, working with state and local
because they don't want to
authorities
spend
in order
money
to solve
to
the problem.
maintain what
And
they
President
got.
Trump said in that press conference, we need the federal government here. They're not here on the ground
Or
right now,
they roll around
including
on
FEMA.
bald
And we've
tires.
seen this. It's been a track record of failure
The
after
tires on
failure
my
really
car got
since
worn
Hurricane
down. We
Katrina
went and
in
put
both
new
Republican and
tires on
Democrat
it.
administrations.
It was due for an oil
President Trump
change.
actually mentioning
I
two
went and got the oil
maintenance in
changed.
North Carolina and California just roughly about 10 days ago.
And I will continue to
We
go
probably have
to
to
that
either get rid
Walmart
of
to get
FEMA
the
or
oil
greatly
changed.
reform it. So he believes that people on the ground should be responding first, and in certain cases here, had to do that over the last 4 years with the previous administration.
Exactly. So that's why President Trump is the people's president, and he's always been the people's president, I believe, since 2015, 2016. We didn't know it maybe in 2014,
And it's
2015
like
early on,
anything,
but he was a guy that really was doing
if
this for
I
the
don't
people. And
maintain
so
my
many
computer,
great, famous people that are
it's going to
liberals,
stop working.
loved President Trump through the letters to Trump.
I have to keep
Oprah
it clean on the
and
inside. I have to
and then
keep the
all of a
fans
sudden, as
clean.
soon as he's running on the right side of things, they're like, wait a
You
minute, you're
know,
running for
just
truth. You're
simple
standing for
stuff.
truth and
But
common sense. Ugh.
lack of maintenance
Like,
is
come on,
what
right?
gets
That was probably
everything.
my favorite autobiography from President Trump. And if you have not seen that, it's the second book of 3, which the first one really highlights the first administration, the journey together. And then the second one, the letters to Trump. And he had 2 secretaries who stayed on with him through the first White House years and put together really an amazing display of how many of these people, including Oprah, even saying we should run together back in the 80s. Imagine how many problems we can solve together, Donald. So that's an interesting one to look at. Also, his relationships through the years and how he actually thinks very highly of certain people who were not very kind to him, especially Chuck Schumer. I thought that's an interesting relationship. He's always willing to work with people that might be on the other side and offer that olive branch. And you saw him at the Al Smith dinner. He tapped on the shoulder. Hey, we've been together I remember that first donation I gave you for a county commissioner position in New York State. So President Trump really, I think that's why they're so afraid of him at times. He knows how people, what their target points are, their weaknesses, their strengths, and he's analyzed them. Also willing to work with people regardless of the letter next to their name.
Exactly. Well said. And exactly what President Trump does. And to your point about the letters to Trump, at the end of all of these great letters from all of these heads of state, all these famous people, right, including people on the left side of the aisle, right side, at the end of it, it's a letter from President Trump to the American people. So it's pretty cool that he shows off, hey, look at all this. This is all pretty cool stuff
Right.
here. He's like, hey, I got a letter from this person, that person. But at the end, a sincere letter to we the people. he knows what's going on, and that's why he is the commander-in-chief. And looking forward to seeing these 4 years.
Mhm.
All right, now it's 10:52. Director, which sponsor should we go to? Let's go to mypillow.com. mypillow.com/RSBN for a sizable percentage off. I mean, up to 80% off of everything. Do you know there's more than 2,000 products on there, including
It's amazing.
my coffee, which is very good. Wouldn't mind having
Yes.
some of that right now.
Actually, that sounds lovely on a Monday morning. The mega sale, we see it there. It is my cross, the very cross that Mr. Mike Lindell wears to share his love, and his personal story is incredible, from really pain and addiction in order to surrendering to Jesus Christ, his Lord and Savior, our Lord and Savior. And that personal story, he's really brought that touch to not only his business, but his activism to defend the First Amendment, to defend election integrity. I think about his time where he was on Jimmy Kimmel's show and really was treated rather poorly. And Jimmy was rather rude to Mr. Lindell, but he stood his ground and was very polite back and said, hey, we could still be friends, although we see things on a different scale. So a man really after the servant's heart, and we love his support here. But if you go to mypillow.com/RSBN, look, up to 80% off everything on that site. And you know how I have to stay away from our sponsorship sometimes because I end up always buying something. And I really enjoy the My Coffee and the My Pillows personally.
Yeah, no, definitely great products there. And to your point about the great works of Mike Lindell, I mean, the Lindell Recovery Network, helping people that are in a time of need or addiction as he was, but was radically saved, as you mentioned, by Jesus. So this is awesome. And it's great if you'd like, mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, when you use the RSBN code, of course, some of the proceeds go toward the network and also go to My Pillow, which is great. And we love My Pillow, always will. All right, it is 10:54, approaching slowly the top of the hour as we get ready to see the Vice President, J.D. Vance, in East Palestine, Ohio. We'll be right back.
Hey, y'all, it's Silk from the Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live Show. Look, don't forget to check me out right here on RSBN Network. Be sure to watch the show on Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. Yes, it's imperative that you do so, okay? I look to see y'all soon. Bye-bye.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Welcome back. Awaiting the Vice President, J.D. Vance, in just a minute. Before we get to our sponsor, breaking news into the RSBN newsroom, and we thank some of our crew here as well for alerting us to President Trump's Truth Social post that just came about at 10:41 Eastern. I just spoke with President Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico. It was a very friendly conversation. This is President Trump speaking here, wherein she agreed to immediately supply 10,000 Mexican soldiers on the border separating Mexico and the United States. The soldiers will be specifically designated to stop the flow of fentanyl and illegal migrants into our country. We further agreed to immediately pause the anticipated tariffs for a 1-month period, during which we will have negotiations headed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio and others there. I look forward to participating in those negotiations with the President of Mexico as we attempt to achieve a deal between our two countries.
Wow.
I mean, come on. Everybody's like, oh my gosh, and then you know what Bruce Lavelle said it. He goes, oh, don't worry, it's going to be turned around real quick. And
Right.
he says within the week. Well, how about within the hour?
I think it's the speed, exactly, Matthew, that this moves. I mean, even we had Rick Grinnell go down to Venezuela. And again, this is someone who is a gay man, and you know how the Venezuelan government looks at that, and then secures the release of 6 hostages. And many people over the weekend just telling me amongst friends, we didn't even know there were hostages in Venezuela. What was the Biden administration hiding from us? Why wasn't there that?
They were hiding everything.
Hour by hour, day by day.
And not only the Biden
President
administration,
Trump
mainstream media
succeeding,
was
along
doing
with
it too.
Probably the greatest Secretary of State in a long time, Marco Rubio, doing just an outstanding job already.
Yeah, exactly. And he's on his way to El Salvador today. So that's the second nation that he's going to go to in just 48 hours. Also, the breaking news off the top there with Mexico, as President Trump and the President of Mexico working out, hopefully, a deal there. President Trump has a call with the outgoing Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, at 3 o'clock Eastern today. That might be more breaking news for both Mexico and Canada. We'll see what happens with Xi Jinping in China. But the point is, things are already starting to happen here.
Right. Exactly.
All of this coverage brought to you by some great sponsors, including Colonial Metals Group. Colonial Metals Group, all you have to do is go to freegoldguide.com, freegoldguide.com. You can go /RSBN if you'd like, freegoldguide.com. That QR code will also take you to the page where you can get this info kit sent to you for free in the mail. And it'll teach you about the tax sheltered IRA, 401k, all the financial backup plan with gold.
Right. And you can scan that right there. Shield your savings today, because it might be properties or different assets that you have in addition to a 401k or an IRA, but having precious gold, metal, silvers to protect your hedge against inflation, it's a great bet. So you might as well reach out to our friends at Colonial Metals Group. And again, no obligation. Just this guide gives you really a complete outlook on how you can help yourself and your family.
Exactly. All right. It's the top of the hour, 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we're going to get ready to see Air Force Two with the Vice President, J.D. Vance, returning to his home state of Ohio. He's from Middletown, Ohio, on the west side of the state. Well, he's on the way east side near the Pennsylvania border today, as he will visit the people there in East Palestine. Again, in some text with some of the residents from prior coverage in East Palestine, they said they're very happy that he's on his way. Also saying that they want to see the payouts, come through a little bit quicker. So that, of course, was under the Biden administration, some of that there. So I'm sure the vice president and his team will hear from the residents there, and also probably tour the area of where this all happened. I believe we do have that photo from earlier where it showed the hydrogen, or the hydrogen chloride and the phosgene that was let off into the air on February 3rd, 2023 at 8:55. So the night prior to this picture, that Norfolk Southern train, of course, derailed. 38 cars derailed, hazardous materials, Robert. And then several rail cars burned for more than 2 days as they conducted controlled burns of several rail cars, which released that hydrogen chloride and phosgene into the air. I mean, and then Buttigieg doesn't show up for months, it seemed.
Right. It was really just a dereliction of duty on the part of the Biden administration. Then we saw this most recently, of course, with Hurricane Helene in western North Carolina, and then again with more Democrat mismanagement on the far left coast of California. So sad to see what happened with the wildfires there. So President Trump has examined these grounds when he was out of office and being in office, just to see what needs to be done from a federal response, also state and local. And you see this follow-up once again from Vice President J.D. Vance today in Ohio.
Exactly. So looking forward to seeing that. We'll bring that to you live and full as soon as he is showing up there in Air Force Two. And of course, it's always good to hear. Sometimes you can listen in on conversations that happen between the vice president and some of the local officials. I'm sure the mayor of East Palestine, of course, a supporter of the Trump administration, will be greeting him there. And then they'll be on their way to East Palestine to check out the situation there. This is 2 years to the day this happened in eastern Ohio. Switching now to some other headlines we're following as we await the vice president. Panama's president, Jose Raul Molino, announced his country will formally end a development agreement with China that had sparked concerns in Washington over Beijing's growing influence of the Panama Canal. So we're seeing already it seems like what happens is there's one day of whether it's an in-meeting person or a phone call, then it's the next day that the other leader says, okay, whatever you guys want.
It's almost as if they're going down the checklist. We got to hit this first, next.
Exactly.
And, I wouldn't be surprised by the end of the month if we have a complete ending of the Russia-Ukrainian conflict. We've already seen so much gained within Israel as well, and a safer area there, of course, still on edge with Hezbollah and Hamas, but President Trump striking ISIS leaders as well overseas over the weekend. So, he just does not stop. This is what a true commander-in-chief does. He's on the forefront. He listens to his team around him, and then he executes on the mission and the promises made, promises kept. It's really a new dawn, and it's morning again in America.
Exactly. So there are two things going on before we get to our next sponsor, both in February the 4th, tomorrow, and then March 4th. So just a month from that point. So tomorrow, the Prime Minister of Israel, of course, Benjamin Netanyahu, will be in Washington for a working meeting with President Trump. And then on March 4th, the president invited by the Speaker, Mike Johnson, for a joint session of Congress to address Congress on March 4th. So two big dates right there, one tomorrow and one on March 4th. And of course, other coverage that we'll have here at the network. All of it brought to you by various great sponsors, including RepublicanRed.com. RepublicanRed.com, the golden age. You see the sparkling wine to your left on the screen there. And also the Pinot Noir 4547. They have a cab. They have all sorts of stuff there. And you can use that discount code. That's always good too.
Yeah, and easy to remember, RSBN. And these are some delightful wines, whether you like Wine Wednesday or whether you need a bottle or two before the big game comes Sunday. It's a great thing to have, not only as a decoration, but I've tried the 45-47 red blend. It's quite delicious, and I think you'll enjoy it. So this is really a great family-owned operation. They're in that Lodi area of California, so the Central Coast, and some of the finest winemakers that are out there. But RepublicanRed.com, all the money and the proceeds gained from this group, a percentage does go to Republican and conservative activism. So you want to, again, put your dollars where it matters, not only getting a great product, but going to a group that supports your values.
Thanks so much for visiting RepublicanRed.com. So Republican Red Winery, as it's 11:05 Eastern time, getting ready to see the vice president there in Air Force Two going to East Palestine, Ohio. Some of the other stories we're following, USAID, the fraudulent activity that we're hearing reports about. Carrie Lake earlier on Truth Social speaking out about USAID, saying the slogan is from the American people, a slogan introduced after the 9/11 attacks and a slogan mandated to be printed on all of the USAID projects. Kerry goes on to say, the truth is the American people want to know why our hard-earned money is being funneled into what appears to be a CIA intelligence community slush fund. That she finished up that post by saying, Elon Musk, we the people want answers. So, Elon, of course, having such a wide reach on X over there, where RSBN, we have more than 1 million people following us on there. Some of you watching right now on X, hello to you. And a lot of people watching on Rumble and other areas. But that's quite interesting.
It really is. And we'll see what Doge can do about that. We know that Elon likes to get to the bottom of things and find out how everything is linked together and what connects the dots. So I think that's a great outlook from Kerry Lake and of course, our Doge chair, Elon Musk. He's someone who is like President Trump, just goes right after it. And not only is an innovator, but curious about how things work. And I think that's what's made them so successful, is really finding why one thing might be going to this or that or what have you. So I think they'll probably find out what's going on real quick.
Exactly. Another story we're following that you may have seen making its rounds on social media, the Mexican protest on the streets and highways, shutting down some highways yesterday in Los Angeles. Those videos were making their circulation around the nation. So we'll see what happens with that. On top of that, if you missed the breaking news, President Trump saying he spoke with the Mexican president, and there are going to be 10,000 Mexican troops going to go along the border there to stop fentanyl and stop the migrant invasion. And they're working on an agreement with the tariff situation. And on top of that, a 3:00 phone call with Justin Trudeau to the north in Canada with the president, President Trump. So today, it might have been just a 15-second story, basically.
Right.
And the fake news media really jumped on it hard and saying all this stuff about tariffs when they didn't really focus on the fact of why this was being done to save our country and have safety for our citizens. No more drugs crossing the border, no more violent crime coming across the border. That's more important than money and any day of the week. Let's be real.
Oh, absolutely. That's so true. And a backdrop today over in the Senate, we look like we'll have a cloture vote for Pam Bondi. It's scheduled on the dais today for Attorney General. So that would be exciting to see her get through the Senate.
Exactly. So Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, RFK Jr., Tulsi Gabbard, we're looking forward to seeing everybody in the positions that they need to be in. President Trump speaking on Truth Social about that too, saying that they're delaying it over there in the swamp. So we have to get our people that we voted for President Trump, obviously. So his mandate, it's getting those people in there, and again, the swamp. Hopefully, it's going to be fully drained as time goes on here through voting, through primary situations. And just people being exposed, any corruption. I think that's the thing. We're looking at the corruption being exposed at all levels,
right,
so we can get our country fully back. Because at the end of the day, we the people, everyday America, simply wants common sense and truth and good things to happen to our country. And obviously, I know it's preaching to the choir, but it's true, right? They just want to clean out the swamp so we can get our country back.
Well, as Kash Patel said, too, even in his testimony, you have so many people at the FBI in Washington, D.C., just waiting for that next appointment or that raise or what have you. And they're not really actually doing a job throughout the day that's helping the American people. So a lot of this is about streamlining the size and scope of the federal government. And that's hard to do because we know that even President Reagan said the closest thing to eternal life on earth is a government mandate or a government program. And these people are really in here to scale that back, including something that could not be achieved during the Reagan administration, the ending of the Department of Education, and bring it back to the states. That's why, again, the people's president, the Federalist president who believes so deeply in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and especially that 10th Amendment. And I'm very interested to see how that will work with Linda McMahon, who's willing to go in to do this, knowing that she might be the last Secretary of Education. And thank God for that.
While you were speaking there, listening to your great points, I was thinking about also us rising to the occasion, being an overcomer, walking and hiking and climbing to the top, to the peak once again. I don't know about you. For me specifically, and I want to ask you this, Robert, here while we're with everybody watching right now, but I don't feel that sense of the first administration yet in the sense of that freedom, because we have so much to get through to get there. You follow what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely.
So we're climbing there. President Trump is doing, the national emergency on the southern border. We see troops, boom, right? Or the Mexican president speaking with him or her today to get everything taken care of there. Then the Canadian prime minister soon. We're climbing out of still the terrible things that we just dealt with over the past 4 years. I'm just really looking forward to, just like in Rocky when he runs up that Russian mountain there and he's on the top there and he's like, Drago, that kind of thing. I'm looking forward to seeing that and feeling that. I don't know about you guys, but what your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, no, I couldn't have said it better, because we know Sly Stallone, too, along with Mel Gibson and John Voight, all special envoys to Hollywood to see how they can help shape the culture. We know that Mel Gibson working on that Resurrection film as well, so a sequel to The Passion of the Christ. But I think President Trump also had dinner at Mar-a-Lago with John Voight over the weekend. So I'm very curious to hear maybe some comments on that this week of what they might have discussed.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome that Dennis Quaid and Kevin Sorbo and others all on Team America. Not only just Team Trump, because we know that President Trump is the captain of it all. but it, being on the team, and it's great to see that. And these are great actors too. These are not. These are great actors, so it's just wonderful.
Well, they make compelling stories over the years, and really these characters as well. Whether it's Rocky and Sly Stallone, it's you can really kind of relate with them. It's like, especially when they're down and out, and again, literally climbing that mountain and going over that threshold to not only defend our values, but to protect our fellow man. And I think that's why Vice President J.D. Vance, going back to his home state, the Buckeye State today, to really assess what has the needs that are continue to be on the ground in East Palestine, because people are still getting sick from everything that was the toxins that were leaked from the train derailment.
Exactly. So hydrogen chloride definitely was released there during that controlled burn over those 2 days. So we're going to get more of an update here. Hopefully we'll be hearing from the vice president. I'm sure we will on this trip here. This all brought to you by various great sponsors, including Tax Network USA. I usually talk about the phone number, but let's go to that website there, tnusa.com/RSBN. As Robert says, he likes to go to the website first before the call. I'll give him a call and say, hey, what's going on?
And that's also good to do. 800-357-1415. Settle your back taxes now, especially before the April 15th deadline. As we know, tax day coming up. Oh my goodness, only a couple of months from now. But protect yourself against the IRS. And these are experts that can handle property tax questions, state tax, federal income tax questions as well. So you're not paying too much and keeping more of your hard-earned dollars.
So other stories that we're following here along the southern border and out to sea, we can show you various videos as we await the Air Force Two with our great Vice President, J.D. Vance, who's on the way. Director, can we go to the video from the military pretty recently down on the southern border? And then if we can go also to the U.S. Coast Guard vessel intercept that just happened as we await the vice president there. As we talk about the southern border, we're seeing the troops down there, and then we're seeing even the U.S. Coast Guard intercept a vessel just the other day. 14 people, all males above the age of 18 there, getting arrested and deported. We have those videos. We played them earlier on the broadcast, and if you've been watching our coverage, which one, sir? Okay, let's go to the Coast Guard video. This is from January 28th, just a few days ago, off of the coast of Point Loma, California. So if you look at the map, you see Tijuana right there. You see the California border, and then just outside of like Coronado Island, in that pocket of water, this happened.
Hands up! Hands up! Manos! Manos arriba! Going over. I have principal. I'm going right here. Yep.
What's up?
¿Cuántas personas tienen? ¿Cuántas personas tienen?
12, 13, 14.
Oh, which one is it? 12, 13 o 14?
Somos 14.
14? ¿Tienes niños?
No,
¿Qué es su nacionalidad? ¿Todos son mexicanos?
no, somos mexicanos.
¿Tienes niños?
No.
Yeah, we have POSCON ISS complete. 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 14. What do you have? Dragon BO. Vessel was compliant on step 1. Initial count 14 POB. All claiming Mexican nationality. ¿Tienes un chaqueta? ¿Chaqueta? ¿Tienes uno o no?
Okay, so obviously this is the live picture from East Palestine. That was a video from January 28th off the coast of California. Our U.S. Coast Guard intercepted a vessel that had 14 Mexican nationals on the vessel there, coming from the Tijuana, Western Mexico area. And Robert, we're seeing the Coast Guard, we're seeing the Marines and the Army that are down at the southern border, shoring up the border. And then I've said this a few times, but I'm looking forward to seeing the video of whatever construction company it is from our country building, and our government, of course, maybe the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, others, building the wall and completing that project. It'll be just wonderful that when that day's done, I believe President Trump will be down there at the edge of that wall and saying, it's done, we did it.
And it was so sad to see the steel and the barriers that were literally left on the ground, mostly in Arizona, and the fact that the Biden administration tried to sell pieces of it before they left office, and then Texas jumped right into that bidding war and grabbed a lot of that to complete the border wall there. And it's common sense again. It's walls work, and you close and lock the door of your own property when you go to sleep or you leave the property as well. And this is very similar here. It's a good way to streamline our immigration system once and for all. And, it'd be nice to have Congress involved in this as well. But President Trump using his legal executive authority to secure the border by bringing troops down there, the Army Corps of Engineers as well. We might even have up to 10,000 troops on the border. We do know now, too, that there's 10,000 Mexican troops on the border with the tariffs delayed, that discussion ongoing for the next month. But President Trump sounds like he had a great phone call with the Mexican president this morning. And, of course, later this afternoon with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau.
Yep, and that is scheduled for about 3 o'clock Eastern. So I'm sure after that phone call, I believe it would be closed pressed, of course. And then after that, we'll wait to see a Truth Social post from the president, or maybe he'll be on camera, at an event, maybe at the White House, and will share with us what the call was like with the Prime Minister, outgoing Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. And then also, hopefully, they kept showing the hockey situation.
Oh, man.
Islanders game, where when the national anthem was sung, there was some boos by some of the crowd there. Well, hopefully we get that all taken care of too, because I love me some hockey.
Oh yeah, it's a great sport, especially this time of year, and it's something that you just don't want to see at a game like that brings people together.
Yeah, exactly. Sports are just a great thing, and to the point of earlier today, if you're just joining us right now, of course, the Super Bowl on its way, coming up this Sunday. Robert says,
"Wow, really? Super Bowl's this Sunday."
On this one, so those of you in the chat, go ahead and put Eagles or Chiefs if you'd like. And if you don't,
I do not care.
Commanders or the Bills, you could say that too, I guess.
Right, absolutely. And what
I do not care about the Super Bowl or who's playing, because the NFL is all rigged. And I'm going to say it right now: the Chiefs are going to win.
Vikings, especially, but some surprises in the playoffs there. And now we have the Chiefs and the Eagles. Oh, it looks like Air Force.
Oh, there we go. Air Force 2 with Vice President Vance on it.
So making touchdown right now. Let's go there live.
Mm.
All right, so we saw the landing live in East Palestine, Ohio there.
I seen
now we'll move on
President Trump
as you see live
land at Phoenix Sky Harbor on Air Force One.
Media, and that's something we've seen before.
Kind of an iconic moment.
Presidential motorcade back in 24 when the president was going to, or the president, the nominee, Donald Trump, of course, was going to New Hampshire, and you just have to move when the press leads say move. So
right.
that's what we do. And but anyway, so looking forward to seeing the vice president in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
If you're just joining us right now, again, February 3rd of 2023 was when the East Palestine train derailment took place at 8:55 at night. So we're approaching exactly 2 years to the day. I know specifically the date is 2 years from now, or 2 years ago. So yeah, it's great to see him there.
It really was. And then President Trump joining J.D. Vance when he was a senator 2 years ago. And that's where we saw the first preview of what became the Republican ticket.
Exactly. So we'll go to that live feed once the camera is set, and we'll see the vice president deplane off of Air Force 2. If you joined us yesterday, we saw President Trump going from Florida to Washington as
Now,
well.
why don't they
Air
call
Force
it
One, on the heels of our coverage
deboard?
of Panama yesterday?
Because when you get
saw
on an
Marco
airplane,
Rubio
you
doing a
board
great
the
job because
airplane.
already the Panamanian president
I
is
don't
shifting
understand
his
why it's
focus
called
to the United States
deplane.
and taking it away from China control.
To
of
me,
the
it
Panama
seems like
Canal. We'll follow those developments as we get it.
it
And
would
of
be
course, Secretary of State,
deboard the
on his way
plane.
to El Salvador today. I know the president there in El Salvador, a great leader for the freedom movement of America and El Salvador and the world. So
Right. And, that was once the most dangerous country in the hemisphere to visit. And there were so many warnings from our own State Department, do not go to El Salvador. Of course, many people having immigrated here to the United States from that lovely country. And the president there saying, how we started to reverse things? We actually started praying. We asked for God's blessing to be bestowed upon our nation. And what's really neat is you get to see there's some people who have dual citizenship here in America actually going back there to start businesses in El Salvador as well to bring people out of poverty. So really an exciting time. I think Marco Rubio, an outstanding pick, bilingual as well. So that definitely helps with foreign policy.
I know there's people out
and,
there that
national
don't
security
believe in
issues, just
prayer.
to have that understanding right on the ground.
But
But he's just as energetic as President Trump, and
it only
an
takes
outstanding pick for our State Department.
exactly.
a
So
few
now we
seconds
know
to
that,
pray.
the Mexican authorities, the president there, sending 10,000 troops, Mexican troops, to the southern border to stop the inflow of fentanyl and also illegal aliens. And then, as
I'd
you
rather
reported
do
earlier,
that
call
than
to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the outgoing Prime Minister in Canada.
basically.
So,
I'd
a
rather
lot going
believe
on
in
right
God
now, both in El Salvador,
than
Panama,
not.
Canada, Mexico, possibly with China. We'll see what happens with the trade situation there with the tariffs. And also the protests that were just happening more locally in Los Angeles yesterday by a number of Mexican people
Oh God!
protesting some of the moves by the president. But at the end of the day, if someone's illegal in the nation, regardless of who you are or where you're from,
Yep. If you're
against
here
the law. So,
illegally,
for the
goodbye.
border and for our country
Bye bye.
and
See
for our
ya.
safety. As we take that live look, let's go there live once again in East Palestine as we listen in on the great Air Force Two plane. If the camera is going to continue on it, I don't know if it will, so maybe we'll stay here with us for now. But again, this is 2 years ago. This is what happened in East Palestine. Of course, there were 38 rail cars that derailed, and then there was a 2-day controlled burn, leaving off hydrogen chloride into the air, causing all sorts of problems to the people there. So this is yet another visit by the Trump-Vance ticket, the Trump-Vance situation, the president and the vice president. Air Force Two, beautiful plane right there, Robert.
Absolutely. And that is the call sign that happens for a plane when the vice president is on board, just as if
Yeah, and it
Trump is
doesn't
on
have to
board,
be
it would
that
Air
plane.
Force One. So we know that from
If
covering
the vice president got
how
on
these
any
gentlemen
plane,
get around, and it's really a crucial job.
the
It's
call
important
sign of
job,
that plane
for the safety of
becomes
the leaders
Air
of
Force
our
Two.
country. But we've seen them in action the last 2 weeks. It's 14 days in office, going to that third full week of the 47th presidency and the 50th vice presidency.
It's like if President Trump gets on any plane, it becomes Air Force
and they're
One.
doing just that, whether it's the form of executive orders, visits to be comforters in moments like this, or even
But
just
I
enacting
love
policy and
how
ultimately getting people over that threshold. We know,
everybody
President
calls
JD
Trump's
Vance
plane
was the tie-breaking
Trump
vote
Force
for
One.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth.
That's
He said,
just
wow, I came back
epic.
already to vote. I thought I was done voting in the U.S. Senate. So that was great to see that with his confirmation.
Exactly. So yeah, between the president and vice president, it's only been now pushing now the third week of the presidency.
Wow, it's only been 3
Ohio
weeks.
and North Carolina and Los Angeles. And President Trump had that
And
rally
Trump
in
is
Nevada
knocking it
over the
out the
weekend. So,
park.
not staying just in the White House or the executive branch area there in D.C., not just going to Florida, but really traveling the country already. And that's what's great about Truth Social with President Trump, being able to talk about what he's up to, and no media can interfere with that. You'll hear it directly from the commander in chief. I know that's something that with Twitter, and then it turned into X, of course, that leaders have always had that for years now.
Right.
But it's great to see it through a great platform like Truth Social. as it's the bottom of the hour, 11:27 here at Right Side Broadcasting.
And I bet mainstream media
joining us
hates
here on this
that.
Monday, February 3rd. Groundhog
Hates
Day
that
just
Trump
yesterday, to your point earlier.
uses
But,
social
6
media.
more weeks of winter in various parts of the country, because in Alabama it's going to be, I think, in the 70s tomorrow and Wednesday.
How did we do it for so many years? Pennsylvania native, actually a friend of Pakistani Phil. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But it's again, he saw his shadow. So 6 more weeks of winter. As you see the vice presidential motorcade, and the motorcade in D.C. actually outside of the Oval Office as well. So Vice President Vance can look down on that.
Supposed to be a high of 82 today.
Office, but I can also see, if you're wondering, some of those rods on top of the Suburbans as well, those are anti-drone signals. So they can jam those in case there are any unidentified flying objects, if you will, over the motorcade. So we've been seeing that more and more, especially on President Trump's motorcade in the last few days.
Exactly. And this is as Air Force Two pulling up to the jetway, the stairs there. And then we'll see the vice president walk down the steps. If he addresses the press, of course, we'll take that live. And then he'll hop in those SUVs and head with the motorcade to the specific spot of where everything happened some 2 years ago. The people of East Palestine, when I was there 2 years ago, they were in droves there cheering on the fact that President Trump was there. At the time, it was Senator J.D.
I would
Vance
love to see the
there as
hinge
well.
system
And then who knew at that point that
on
would be
that
the future
door.
Vice President of the United States of America? Well, here we are, and that's what we're seeing right now. To your point about the anti-drone situation, I had no idea about that. Where'd you learn that?
That was actually when we first saw them, when he was initially picked up to go to the inauguration. We had not seen that many lined up because there were apparent threats of drone activity. Not that it was nefarious in nature, but a concern, given that they were really big on the safety of the president with the new administration coming in. And we saw that on the ground, just being there for Inauguration Day, how the perimeter kept changing and how people, really had to wait, and beautiful ball gowns and the handsome tuxedos, but really wait to get into those balls because everything was moved indoors. It was so cold on that Monday, 2 weeks ago to the day. So it really was just the observance of what was taking place between national entities like the Secret Service, DHS, also our military, in order to protect the president and vice president during the proceedings.
I still can't believe that it's been exactly 2 weeks to the day when you just said that. 14 days. And I saw that from our COO, Grace O'Donnell, this morning on the internal communications here at the network. And only 14 days. It's felt like 14 great years so far. I mean, the amount of work that has been done.
Only been
historic
14
speed
days
executive orders
since
and
Trump
all
and
the
J.D.
travel and all
Vance
the
have been
trips. These are two
inaugurated.
people that are actually doing things for the people of this nation.
An amazing turnaround of the last 4 years, which put America last. What a difference. And I think the biggest thing, not only the
But
energy difference,
I
in the
will continue to say
administration, but we now
this.
know who truly is in
All it
charge.
takes is another
And we also have a
Democrat to
situation where this
win
is
the
an administration
election,
that truly is populist,
and
wants to
you
put
see how
America
quickly
first,
stuff can
does not
change.
care about the Republican versus Democrat, the deep state beltway, really nonsense, and the rivalries that take place. It's about serving the American people, and how wonderful to have that at the top of the chain of the command.
Exactly. So as soon as we see the vice president, J.D. Vance, we'll go there to the live sights and sounds so you could feel like what it's like to be there. And that's not him. So we'll be, that would have been great timing if it was. But you see there, I think that was a security or Secret Service there with the K9 as well going down the steps. Again, East Palestine, Ohio, really close to the Pennsylvania border. Some great people there in a very small town. And all of the small towns, shout out to you out there. It's just wonderful to be able to travel to small towns throughout this country and just enjoy peaceful kind of living and gorgeous scenery and great restaurants and businesses and that kind of thing. So again, the people there full on for President Trump. I remember seeing them cheering so loudly for President Trump when he was there in 2023 as a candidate for Commander-in-Chief, the 47th Commander-in-Chief. I don't see the East Palestine mayor there at this point, but again, this is live coverage right now. It's 11:32 Eastern. Robert McNeely and Matthew Alvarez here. holding down the fort. Looking forward to seeing the Vice President of the United States.
And I think we caught there Governor Mike DeWine and then Senator Bernie Moreno, who was just elected last cycle, along with the new senator who succeeded Vice President J.D. Vance in that seat. And that's John Husted, who was the former lieutenant governor of Ohio. So three wonderful leaders, and Ohio just delivering common sense for the American people.
And several electoral votes winning for the presidency in Ohio. And of course, knowing that Bernie Moreno is there is great. Hearing a speech of his in Dayton, Ohio, some time back at a rally. It was a very windy day there. Trump Force One landed, and Bernie's speech was amazing.
Right.
It was really, really solid. And to have people that really care about this country, and they're doing, sure, they're getting paid. That's part of doing a job. That's fine. President Trump isn't, because he doesn't really need the
And
salary.
he donates it.
He donates it. But at the end of the day, those that are getting paid, still, if you're getting paid, do a good job. And that's what Bernie Moreno is all about. And that's what the MAGA, Republicans, when it comes to Eli Cranes of the world, are doing, because they just love our country. They love the people. They're doing the best they can in every way, in every aspect. So looking forward to this.
Good morning, Val.
Being drained.
And you might have caught some of the coverage when we were at the Hispanic Ball. I was joined by Megan Kohler there, and we had the opportunity to see Bernie Moreno, the new senator, and also, of course, there's Lee Zeldin, the EPA administrator, is there on the ground as well. And Usha, our second lady, and there's the Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance. And we'll throw it to East Palestine to see if we can get some audio and visual.
And I think that's JD's wife. Now, I'm not even going to try to say her name. He breaking out his cell phone like, I want a picture. If I was JD, I'd be like, all right, 2 minutes for pictures. Then I'd walk over by the plane and just be all like, take a picture. And if you're wondering how they're catching audio over this distance, it's called a parabolic microphone. The same thing they use at sporting events. He seems to be spending an extended amount of time talking to Ramaswamy. Oh, come on, cameraman. Oh, my God. And these are professional cameramen.
All right, so we're seeing Vivek Ramaswamy there, of course, as well, Lee Zeldin, and a number of Ohio officials, along with the vice president. They're live, deplaning from Air Force Two, then going into those Suburbans, on his way then from the airport to East Palestine to check out where this happened 2 years ago. As you see some more people there. Let's go back there live as you can enjoy the coverage.
You'll see people cheering for Biden or Kamala Harris. And I just love that he's a Gen X vice president. I think 90% of Trump's staff is Gen X. And the new press secretary, she's an honorary member of Gen X because she has the Gen X attitude. I know she's Gen Z, but that just goes to show that not all Gen Z people are stupid. Let's go. GD's a busy man.
And you heard it there when the press lead says, all right, press, let's go. You got to listen because obviously that has a lot of security implications as well, just getting into the Suburbans and heading to the next location, which will be live right here on RSBN Live. Robert McNeely and I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks so much for streaming in with us wherever you're watching right now, including Rumble, where I remember when you were in Washington just 2 weeks ago. Can you believe it was just 2 weeks ago?
It feels like forever ago in a good way.
Yeah,
Just,
exactly.
It's really just been so much, success in the last couple of weeks.
Exactly. So many great executive orders signed, so many great actions by our president. And then you were live there in Washington at the Rumble Studios there. Right. It was just quite awesome to have that coverage there. And specifically when it comes to the inauguration coverage, it was quite awesome to see the president in various aspects there. As we want to thank one of our great sponsors here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, including angelpace.com. They're based in Spring, Texas. They hire military veterans. They have a great product, and Valentine's Day is around the corner.
Yes, and good for guys and gals because they have the Manly Men line that has a nice black bottle, so you can still grip that tackle box even though you're taking care of those dry hands. And Pakistani Phil yesterday, he saw a shadow. So
yeah, see, that's something I've never understood.
So at angelpace.com, They will
why
take care of
guys
that for
don't
you.
want
non-GMO, no chemicals
to
in their beautiful lotions.
moisturize
Fragrances, too,
their
really,
hands.
quite nice. Their orange line, in fact, actually
And
helps
it's
to
like,
repel
you touch your
mosquitoes.
wife
And
or your
they know
girlfriend with
something about
them
mosquitoes
hands.
being based in Spring, Texas,
I
just
wouldn't
outside
want
of
you to
Houston, a
touch
very
the paint
humid
on my car
climate.
with
They're a
those hands.
Christian-based company, and they also hire veterans. So go to
Now my hands are
angelpaint.com.
all
I've
nice
tried
and
the Miracle
smooth.
Cream here on the show, and you saw
Nails
how
are all
shiny and
trimmed.
instantly dry-free my hands were. They were nice and moisturized, and I was ready to get through the day with the help
I've
of
seen guys
Angel
with
Paste. Angelpaste.com.
greasy
10% off using
fingernails
the
and
code as well.
oil
Great
stained
sponsor here
hands,
at the
and I'm
network.
like,
11:42 as we get ready to see
clean your
more
hands.
of Vice President JD Vance there in East
Well,
Palestine, Ohio. Tomorrow,
they don't
great
make a
coverage as
hand
well
cleaner that
on
can
the
clean
way
them.
for the
Yeah, they
Israeli
do.
Prime
It's called
Minister
Dawn dish soap.
Netanyahu being in DC.
And doing a load of dishes.
And of course, any other news that breaks throughout.
That will
the
keep your
week.
hands all nice and
Count
clean.
on us here at Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Because I used to work on cars. I
very
used to race
tragic
cars,
stories that have been
do
happening,
demolition derby.
with last Wednesday's plane crash and collision with the
I don't know how many times
helicopter,
my
and the
hands were
terrible incident
filthy
with the
dirty.
Philadelphia plane crash on Friday night. Both of those accidents, we're hearing from the Secretary of the Department of Transportation, Sean Duffy, saying in the coming days he'll have an update on both of those aviation disasters. So we'll bring that to you as we get it as well. You can always follow us on Truth Social or X at RSBN Network or RSB Network on X and RSBN on Truth. And if you'd like to follow Robert or myself on Truth, we're on there as well. So thanks so much for streaming in as we get ready for the next live vantage point of the day. And speaking of the day, President Trump will be speaking with Justin Trudeau at 3 o'clock. So that breaking news that happened with Mexico, in the sense of the president of Mexico saying, okay, 10,000 soldiers from the Mexican military will be along the southern border to help stop the influx of the fentanyl coming across and the illegal aliens. Well, and then them working out a deal, hopefully, in the tariff situation. Hopefully that'll be the same thing that happens with Justin Trudeau.
Right. I think that
I see so many people that are like, oh, the price of avocados is going to go up.
President Trump's been on the phone with world leaders.
That's all they're worried about.
Things done. So today seems as if it's a
Is the price of avocados going up?
Day. And we know as well up in
like, seriously?
upstate New York.
That's all you're worried about.
Niagara Falls, as you were speaking.
Yeah, but spend a little more money for your precious
sometimes,
avocado toast.
Going over to the Canadian border, but vice versa, we're much more gracious. And you have a situation there where fentanyl and problems have been happening with illegal migrants coming over the northern border as well. But
that's what I said
being silenced
3 years ago.
Last year, because so much of the focus has been
that
the southern border.
Yeah,
eventually they're going to realize that the northern
executive order kind of
U.S. border is wide open.
The southern border we're dealing with here, it is the northern border as well. Specifically because the fact that there are Mexican drug cartels operating in Canada, that according to the EO. So definitely can confirm that here at the network. Also, if there is video that we have from the southern border of our military service members, the U.S. Marines and the Army there, we could possibly show you that video from just a few days ago, seeing a lot of things getting taken care of for our country. You know, when President Trump said a number of things, I'm going to go to the list that I have here. I gathered over various speeches that the president had at the campaign trail. He always said to make America free again, make our military great again, make America strong, safe, proud, healthy, wealthy, and great again. You know, we'd have him say that towards the end. And those are the simple terms of our nation right now. Simple but great and profound. As we see, as soon as he signed that national declaration of an emergency along the southern border, sending more troops to the border. There are now 4,100 between the Army and also the Marines, and we're hearing that the National Guard is in support. And now some news out of Texas that the Texas National Guard is able to make arrests for illegal immigrants as well. That
good
yesterday. So they're really trying to do everything they can to take care of this country.
I mean, our military and
I tell you, I have the utmost respect
no pun intended,
for these guys out here
uncuffed to
arc welding,
jobs and
aka stick welding.
You know, even with the Pentagon numbers, the
outdoors
rate is up thanks to people like Secretary.
Arc welding is a very archaic, old way of welding.
Really a force ready to not only defend the home
and
but actually allow
to do it outdoors.
So I mean, this is like night and day.
where the wind's
That's
blowing
crazy.
and stuff.
Exactly.
That's
So, immigration, customs,
that takes some talent.
enforcement, ICE, of course, getting uncuffed, as you said there, with the handcuffs, and just being able to go out and do their job, according to the border czar Tom Homan. Of course, RSBN's Christina Loren was able to get that information straight up from a direct interview there on.
All right, everybody, I'm going to stop the
So,
stream right there.
great to see a
I've got to
lot
get
of
me
things,
something
a
to
lot of moving
eat,
parts, as you
take
guys
my
can tell, as we go
medicine,
live,
and go to the
constantly
pharmacy.
here at Right Side
So
Broadcasting Network.
thanks
So
for
you can
hanging
comment
out.
on that live
I
coverage,
really appreciate it.
Right Side Broadcasting
And as
Network,
always,
as we will go
peace
back
out.
to Ohio shortly, as soon as there's a live feed there, to see the vice president meet with
Peace.